What's up, guys, gals? Your host with the most, Griever, as always, bringing you guys a bit of a late review for the Hunters Guild Red Hood chapter number 5. Chapter number 5, and this one is starting to get us a little more. I know some people were disappointed with the the last two chapters sort of idea, you know, everyone was just sort of like, yeah, okay, yeah, it had a great opening chapter, but now, I don't know about this continuation after the grandma werewolf. Then we jumped into these two sort of, just villain of the week werewolves, and it just didn't feel as exciting or as grand as the opening chapter, and I'll agree with that, but at the end of chapter 4, we jump in and we get a witch, and we get a giant-ass werewolf-looking priest. This giant-ass, looks like, Sajin Kumamura or some shit, right? And it was like, alright, what's going to happen here? What's going to go down? What's going to go on? And opening up in Chapter 5 is not disappointing in any way. We have the witch who's still saying, country bumpkins, they don't know anything. And, what's going on? What's going on? Grim automatically tells Vilu, run, because take all the villagers, get as far away from here as possible. This is dangerous. So automatically we're introduced to some, at least Grim acknowledges this werewolf and this witch, maybe one, maybe both, whatever, as someone that is like, okay, we got to get the hell out of here. Now, apparently this werewolf's name, who seems to have a grand voice and is all, fear not, I've only come to check on my sons. Now, this being, assuming this is Dodu and the other one? Really? That's your sons? Or does he consider, is this the grandfather of werewolves and he considers all werewolves his sons or something like that? We're not, it's left a little ambiguous. We can take it literally, but maybe not. I'm not 100% sure yet which direction to take this. If that's the case, you'd think he'd be more pissed off when he learns that they're dead. So, who knows? But he tells the villagers, fear not, I am not hungry for the moment, and stuff in this grand voice. And apparently his name is Lycon. Not a bad name, Lycon, a play on words with the original, the lycanthrope and all that stuff. So, not a bad name choice for him, but apparently Grim is known as Grim of the 100 Cannons. Remember when Dodu was talking about all the, how is she constantly pulling guns out of that suitcase? What's with that case? What's with the thing? So she's constantly pulling things out, and it's usually rifle-based weapons. Of course, ironically, in this chapter, that's not what she uses. She uses one of the 616 tools, the Chain of Sapience. Now, so ironically, not using something in a cannon form, like a rifle or a musket or anything like that, or a shotgun, etc. But she decides to go to battle. And as I said before, I'm assuming by the sounds of what we've learned so far and the hints is that the Hunters Guild, the Red Hood. Now, I can take this a few ways. The Hunters Guild might be sectioned off into different hood colors. There might be blue hoods, black hoods, yellow hoods, etc., right? Sort of like Power Rangers or some shit, right? Or they're all red hoods, but they all have their specializations. In Grim's case, she's a werewolf hunter. We sort of already got this confirmed that different hunters have different specialities. Clearly, Grim is one of the members of the werewolf thing. Now, werewolves could be the red hood, and maybe vampires are blue hood, and etc., etc. You guys get the point. We don't know quite yet, and I'll be really happy to get another lore chapter very, very soon. I expect we get a lore chapter probably in the next 2 weeks. I expect us to get a good info dump in the next 2 to 3 chapters, easily. So we'll probably learn more about the Hunters Guild, their hierarchy, their format, etc. And that gets me really excited because we have a lot of information here, but we don't know how to connect the dots yet because she's clearly got a vendetta against werewolves, and she says all werewolves must die. We knew this from chapter 1 where she said, you ever seen a dragon? No, because the Hunters Guild got rid of them. So now we got to do the same thing with werewolves, and that's her point. So she decides to attack, but and Lycon seems like, oh, I know of you. All right, well then I'll fight you, sort of idea. Apparently is no real match for this towering giant werewolf creature. So we do get a pretty interesting fight scene with this chain. Sort of reminds me of playing as Gabriel Belmont from the Castlevania Lords of Shadows game, where like the vampire killer, the whip, the cross was extremely interesting. Like, it had all this versatility. It was used as a whip chain. It was used as a grappling hook. It was used as a hook chain. It was used in a multitude of ways. And I feel like we're sort of getting that sort of feeling here. I feel like this is very video game-esque. You can see this as a grand Shadow of the Colossus, Lords of Shadow sort of boss battle right now. You know what I mean? With the grappling and the jumping around and stuff. But either way, Lycon decides to just end this and just goes, nope, paw. And he's like, good response, good attack, good everything, but here's the deal. Boom, you're not that strong yet, little girl, sort of idea, right? So, this is where Vilu sees that Grim actually managed to defend against this attack, and she's standing there in a very epic, heroic pose and stuff, but you can see everything sizzling, and it's just like, holy crap. And she did survive that, and she's saying, what the hell are you doing? You were supposed to run away, like, get going now, sort of idea, to the village, and etc., etc. This is where we get the witch instead. The witch says that Grim, or Grimsy, you know, as she's calling her, sort of like a namesake. I don't think her name is actually Grimsy. I think, or Grimsley. I think her name, like, that's just him. Like, hey, little Grimmy, how you doing? You know, sort of idea. Looking down on her, sort of idea. The witch character, which I don't know if we got her name quite yet. She basically says, like, your magic spell is it's going to slowly wear off. So I'm going to infer that maybe that's why we're seeing these, like, smoke rising from her, sort of idea. So potentially she is only like an 8-year-old or a 9-year-old, and she's got the spell to turn into an adult, or maybe it's a curse placed on her. She's actually an adult, but she is forced into this childlike body with no power for extended periods of time. Maybe werewolves did it to her. There's so many unanswered questions, but clearly this is a classic anime manga. The chibi can turn into the big, you know, buxom woman sort of idea, right? And built like a brick shithouse pretty much. But then, and that's her real form, or is it a real form? We don't find out until later. So very interesting here to find that out. Now, this is where the grandfather daddy werewolf here, we got Lycon, and he looks and he smells the dead sons on Vilu, which would sort of make sense, I guess, but not really when you think about it, because he just, like, he blew up a chimney from a house. Like, he didn't exactly stab them, you know, like, close range, so who knows how he's figuring this out. So either way, he then explains that the regrets and stuff of Dodu and the other one, they cling. He can sort of sense or see their spirits, and they cling to him and stuff. So at first I was thinking it was like a smell thing, like a scent thing. You know, they're werewolves, they're animals, etc. But apparently it's more of a sixth sense thing, or seventh sense, a magical sense thing, spirit sense thing. So either way, he regards Vilu as proof of being a true warrior and stuff. Now, this is where Vilu has no other weapons, picks up like a pitchfork or whatever, just a giant like farmer's rake, and goes, fine, I'll take you on and stuff. And at first we think he's going to like try to eat Vilu, but then he's laughing. He's actually laughing in his face, and it blows Vilu back. His laugh alone blew him back, and just sort of like, listen, you are going to try to fight me with that simple farmer's tool. Like, you just found out you were fighting like fodder werewolves right now, and you couldn't have done shit with that farmer's rake. And you're willing to come at me with that? Like, you know what? I like you. That took balls. And automatically, I love this granddaddy werewolf, because the granddaddy werewolf is just like, he's a bit of a pimp. He's just like, you know what? That kid totally knows he stands no chance, and he's got balls. I like that. You know, so I'm like, automatically this chapter is far better than the previous ones, because I understand why people didn't like the Dodu stuff and stuff, but it leads into this one. It leads into why the witch and this guy would appear, because he was looking for his sons. Apparently, maybe they are his actual sons, his true sons or something. Who knows? But either way, he continues to explain that killing a werewolf, even at your young age, is no small feat. But out of respect for your bravery and your courage and your balls, pretty much at this point. I'm not going to eat you today, but I'm going to wait until you become a warrior. And this, a lot of people are going to go, oh, this is the classic trope, the villain not squashing the hero when he had the opportunity. But this is more of a warrior's honor. This is more of a warrior's code. And he's basically saying, like, killing you now is basically like me just straight up murder. It's not even a fight. It's not fair. When you're a true warrior, when you're a full-grown man, and you come at me again, then that's when I'll actually give you the time of day. Right now, it would just be murder. It would just be fodder. There's no honor in that sort of idea. So there's a certain level of respect given here, and I definitely really enjoy that aspect. Now, Grimm is still slowly turning back into her childlike self here. Now, this is where Lycon basically says, like, all right, well, my sons are dead, we're going home and stuff. And I'm like, really? This badass had such, like, pansy-ass sons? Like, I don't know. Either way, I don't know the hierarchy yet and what these people are from, but apparently this witch is named Cinderella, the Ashen Witch. And, of course, Cinderella, a very classic name. And, of course, we're into fairy tales. We already named somebody Grimm. We have werewolves, and now we have the name Cinderella dropped. You know, so interesting. How many witches are there? Are they all going to be named like Belle, Cinderella, Snow White? Is that going to be the deal? Jasmine? Is Aurora? Is that what we're doing? We're going to have Sleeping Beauty and everybody in here? Who knows? I'm actually okay with that. I'm actually really okay with that if that's the case. So I'm going to be very interested to see what other witches, how powerful they are, what they're named, and what this whole deal with the Red Council is, because she decides to light up the entire village, burn the entire hamlet to the ground. And so now, as I said before, my theories were either the hamlet needs to be completely destroyed and Velu's going to have to, like, become a hunter either way, or because I never saw a way out of this. Grimm said, we need to show you that the hamlet will be safe and will be fine. Killing a couple of werewolves when another werewolf could come down from the mountains in a month made no sense. So I actually don't know. That is one plot hole I have a problem with. What was Grimm's endgame? Did she expect the hamlet to be destroyed? Did she expect these people to show up? She clearly didn't expect these people to show up because she was sweating bullets. So this wasn't exactly the case. Or maybe she did know and that was her whole trump card. I don't know. And she was acting. I don't really know. But I already think of it as a bit of a plot hole, because if these people hadn't shown up, destroyed the hamlet, and now Velu had nowhere to go, nowhere to protect, he had no other choice but to join the Hunters Guild and want to join the Hunters Guild. He already wanted to, but he had his priorities. But his priorities were burned in front of his eyes. So it's sort of like, what was the alternative, though? Had the witch not shown up and burned the village to the ground, was Grimm going to light the village on fire? Like, and say, oh, it was werewolves or something? Like, I don't know where they're going with this direction exactly. So either way, all the villagers run away and stuff like that. And she basically said not the Red Council or the Red Order, the Red List. Sorry, the Red List is on the move again. And that's something that Cinderella says to Grimm and says, like, hey, just so you know, why don't you give a little message to the guild? The Red List is on the move again. Hunt and kill as many as you want, but the Red List will just keep getting longer. We want to live too, and we aren't going to give up. Someday there'll be too many of us for you humans to handle. And that's basically the end of the chapter. There's a few more shots, but very, very interesting, because now we're going to get into this whole, especially after I've just finished reading Tokyo Ghoul and stuff, and there's other things beside that manga, but it's just at the forefront of my mind right now, where clearly not all werewolves are bad, not all witches are bad, not all warlocks, vampires, dragons, what have you. All these mythological creatures, probably some of them want to live in peace, and the Hunters Guild to them looks like a brutal, vengeance-hating people that will stop at nothing to destroy them, regardless of their situations. So I'm assuming we're going to get in depth with that stuff. That we're going to find good werewolves, we're going to find good witches, we're going to find good people, and in the end of the day, this Red List is going to be, and the Red Hood, the Red List, I'm assuming it's going to be something to do with blood, or like the Red List is going to be considered a hit list, and they took that name ironically, like the Red List. So every mythological creature, the Red List will continue to grow, and you hunters aren't going to be able to kill us all. will overtake you, and they're at war for something, right? So I'm also getting underworld vibes from this, like at first we paint the werewolves, the Lycans as the bad guys, but then it turns out that the vampires have been the biggest dicks the entire time. So the werewolves were totally justified in fighting back, and we don't know that until halfway through the movie. So, spoilers for a 2003 movie. But anyways, point is that that's sort of what I'm getting the vibe here, is that there's way more going, like this is surface level stuff, there's a lot more going underneath in the underbelly of this story, and I'm really looking forward to it, because this is where they say like all the villagers sort of like dissipated, they took their families and they went to other villages, went to other hamlets. They're not going to try to stay together, rebuild the village, no one's going to do that. So Grimm says that the mission was a failure. The village is no more, and people are missing as well. But they will. She is going to call for hunters and reinforcements immediately to make sure that they find all the missing people, especially that brave soul who was knocking that bell the entire time. Apparently, they can't find the watchman who was knocking the bell or anything. So, whether I think this. So, last time I said we would get a time jump after the last chapter. I think here is where we get that time jump, because we already now, another time with Lycon has said, like, wait until you're a full-grown man, wait until you're a hunter, sort of idea. So this is where, and we've been getting this the entire time, like, this was the day I became a hunter, and stuff like that, right? So this is where Vilu, crying and stuff, wiping the tears, says, all right, it's time for us to go, Grimm. Take me to the Hunters Guild. I need to become a hunter. And that's the end of the chapter. So here's where I think the prologue is officially over, especially since they didn't open up with the chapter title until the end. Like, the end part is like the cover page, almost like signifying that this is the end of the prelude, this is the end of the prologue. Now this is the end of Romance Dawn, etc. We're going to jump in to now Vilu 3 years later, 5 years later, whatever it's going to be, whatever age they're going to make him. Are they going to make him 17, 18, 19, whatever, something, and he's going to already be a total badass. But I assume he's going to be that lackluster. We're going to see him there snoring, with the big, snore bubble and all that stuff out of his nose, and he's just going to be this laid-back character and stuff. I can sort of see that, and we won't know about Grimm for a long time and stuff for the next 10, 20, 30 chapters or something like that. I think that that's a good direction for the series to go. We'll learn a lot more about the world through Vilu being the main character, but then training up a new apprentice. Like, we'll see a time skip. This is just a prediction, guys. The chapter review's over, in case you didn't know. But my prediction is that if that's the case, our next character is going to be like a fresh out of the boat, brand new hunter sort of idea, and Vilu's going to be the main character, showing this new character the ropes. But we got the backstory of Vilu, how he became a hunter, and then we're going to go forward. A different formula than we usually get for our main character, right? We usually don't get this sort of thing. We usually follow them from the time we meet them to the time we go, and especially not for 5 chapters, but, and the first chapter, of course, being longer, so you could argue it's almost been 6 or 7 chapters total, page number-wise. But yeah, I really think that this would be an excellent opportunity for that. Or maybe I'm totally wrong and Vilu is going to stay like this for the next 100 chapters. I have no idea. But that's my prediction. I think it's the right course to make, and I hope I'm right, because I think it'd be really cool to see, now that we already think that Vilu's pretty cool, we've seen Grimm, we've seen the stakes, we've seen the setup of the world, now jump him into a 15, 16, 17-year-old, and then we'll follow him from there on. We now see the history of how he became a hunter, what the world's like. Let's go from here. So, either way, what did you guys think of the chapter? I thought it was pretty good. I think it was better than chapter 4 and 3, which I feel like people were very disappointed in chapters 3 and 4. Everybody really seemed to like chapter 1, the potential of it, and chapter 2 was alright, but then chapter 3 and 4 sort of we're going like, really, like, can we get through this? Because everybody's feeling that this is prologue stuff, and I agree. I think this is prologue stuff, and maybe it was stretched out a little too long. But if from here on we jump through and we get more chapters like this, I think we're starting something great. So chapter 5, definitely the best thing since chapter 1. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like, comment, and subscribe. But let me know what you think down in the comment section down below. Don't forget to drink responsibly as always. And we will see you guys back here again next time. I apologize how late this video is coming out. There was just other things going on over this long weekend. But I hope to have Hunter's Guild Red Hood be out definitely Sunday, Monday, not like late Tuesday night, or even, I guess this will almost be Wednesday morning by the time it's done. So I apologize for the lateness of it, but I promise that the next chapter will not be so damn late. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you back here next time. Peace out.